This is the video review of Transformers Legends Takara BLACKARACHNIA. This figure is obviously just a retool and repaint of the original Transformers animated BLACKARACHNIA figure. I'm not saying that was a bad thing, that's definitely a good thing. As a matter of fact, it's a great thing because I really did miss this figure after selling her off, but I'm glad to have her back in her actual Beast Wars aesthetic. So, yay! I didn't see this coming. Okay, had I known this, I would have sold off the animated BLACKARACHNIA so long ago. But that being said, it's time to get to this review. But before we do that, obviously we're going to take a look at the packaging because that's the way it works here. So, have your fill. Go ahead. That's right, I'm not going to go through any of this. I'm just going to show off the packaging. Here's one side. Here's the other side. I'm sorry that it has to be turned this way. I just can't get it all on camera. And then right here is the back. There you go. Alright, not to waste any more time. See? Some things are going to change around here. Now, let's get into the contents of what this figure came with outside the figure and maybe a weapon. This, I think I got it upside down, but I can't tell. And then there's this. A very nice poster of BLACKARACHNIA drawn in some kind of manga style, I guess. I think I said that right. Here's what's on the inside. Robot mode, beast mode, vice versa. There's the tech specs. And yes, it's actually in proper English. And then here's a bio for BLACKARACHNIA. I can't read it, no point. And then there's this. I have no idea. I don't want to know. Flip it on the back, and here's another page. Again, I don't want to know. And then, of course, here's the instructions for BLACKARACHNIA on the inside. And that's pretty much it. These are completely pointless, at least to me, because I have transformed this figure multiple times already, as it is. And of course, anybody that actually owned the animated version of this figure, well, you know, you already know how this is going to go. So let's go ahead and look at the figure. This is a beast. No pun intended, but yeah, a beast. I like this gal here. This figure is great. Like I said, I really hated myself for having to sell off the animated one, but hey, this totally makes up for it. This is a nice BLACKARACHNIA figure. This figure definitely is a gem to my Transformers collection. She looks great. Now, is she perfect? No. Does she have her issues in this mode? Not really, but it's the robot mode that a lot of people are kind of let down about, but you know, I'll get to it when I get to it. There's not much going on here outside of nice details, nice painted eyes, or, you know, actually this is all clear plastic here, this chest piece. It was actually just painted over in black. You can actually tell from the bottom, you can see all the yellow that's popping out. But yeah, that's nice. I love this retooling here. All those eyes, making it look more spider-like, creepy, something the animated BLACKARACHNIA didn't have, but would not have worked with the character in the first place. She's got the painted hourglass up here on her butt, but there's one little problem with that. They did not take off the original, so you can see that's just sticking out very obviously. But, you know, when it comes to Black Widows, the hourglass is not really up here on the top of the butt. It's actually at the bottom. But, you know, due to transformation and the way this figure works, there would have been no way to do it. Unless maybe they could have, like, painted this black and then just painted on the hourglass symbol here. Because the hourglass symbol on a Black Widow would not be so big as it is here. I'm just saying. But, yeah. Other than that, everything else is great. It's your standard articulation for the spider figure. So you got some movement here, some at the arms, but those are more swivels from the side. And then there's some movement for her mandibles, pincers, I don't know, okay? I don't know the classifications of a spider and all its bits, but oh well. Still, it's great. And she's got a little gimmick here in the back with her rope or whatever it is, her web. So yeah, I could do this all day. Probably early in the morning and scare the heck out of my brother because he is petrified of spiders, no matter what size. That's not a bad idea. But yeah, outside of that, great figure. I mean, this is just nice. This spider mode is totally worth it. It's in the colors of BLACKARACHNIA from Beast Wars, and I cannot say any more of how much I love this. So, that being said, and since we already know how to transform this figure, or at least you should know, I'll just go ahead and take her into the robot mode so I'm not wasting any more time. Okay, here is animated Takara Legends, sorry, BLACKARACHNIA. She, in robot mode, truly shouts BLACKARACHNIA. I mean, this is definitely Beast Wars BLACKARACHNIA. This aesthetic works perfectly for BLACKARACHNIA. There's no problems about it. I like the way this figure looks. Everything about this figure is great. Now, some of the things that have turned some people off on this figure really could have been looked at a second time. The execution on this is a bit flawed, but hey, it's mainly around the upper body. Let's just put it that way. Everything at the bottom, you know, legs going straight down, there's really no issue. But let's just take a look at all the stuff that was retooled in order to make this figure work, but in a way left some minor gaps. And speaking of which, right there, you will notice that this breastplate does not go up all the way anymore like animated BLACKARACHNIA did. That's because of the way that the mandibles are actually used to complete the breastplate. There's no clearance for them to slide up any higher than where they are already, so that's an issue. But, you know, it's not that big of an issue, especially if you display this figure on a black bookshelf or in some area where there's hardly any light. So, you're not going to see it one way or another, but if it really does bother you, you can do this. You know, peg in her weapon in the back for storage and gone. See? Gone. But I'm not going to do that because I got to show this off later. Anyway, outside of that, definitely a nice head sculpt. I love this head sculpt. I mean, this is definitely Beast Wars BLACKARACHNIA to the core. It's great. Minor inconvenience that it's all actually painted black and gold, because if you look at the bottom, you can see that this head is 100% completely, entirely made up of that yellow translucent plastic. So does it run a risk of breaking in the future? I don't know. But I think those days, like, you know, translucent plastic breaking and gold plastic syndrome, I think those are a thing of the past. So I don't think we gotta worry about that anymore, even though this is 100% gold plastic. So, you know, just keep an eye out. But, you know, when it really comes down to it, this is the real turnoff for some people. Due to the fact that the mandibles make up the breastplate rather than the waistline, you can see that there is a huge inconvenience. And there are a lot of people that really hate that fact. But it's not something that really bothers me, okay? I've seen worse, but if it really bothers you, you can always do the transformation and the way it's actually supposed to be transformed. There's not that big of an issue. I mean, it's pretty much covered up. And the way that this is actually aligned here perfectly aligns to the original mandibles being the waistline. So, what is the deal? There's not that much of a deal. I mean, from far away, you can't even tell. But yeah, if you went up close and personal and went like this, yeah, you can tell. You can tell. But, due to the fact that the mandibles are no longer a part of the waist, you actually got some ab crunch going on here and a waist swivel. So that's cool. I really do like that change. Yeah, it could have been looked at a second time. Maybe something else could have worked, but it's not that big of a deal. But that's really it. That's all the changes and really the problems with this figure that are a problem for you, not a problem for me. This figure looks great. So let's go ahead and get into articulation. It's standard animated BLACKARACHNIA articulation consisting of a ball jointed head. Got a pivoting joint here at the neck due to transformation. Ball jointed shoulders, but though they are very tight, you're not going to really be able to do this the first time, trust me. It's kind of a scare at first. Ball jointed elbows. Like I said, ab crunch. Nice. Wrist swivel. Or sorry, waist swivel. Ball jointed legs. Thigh rotation. Single jointed. More than 90 degrees knee bend. And you can count this as articulation too. So yeah. She's loaded with articulation and a few other places that the animated BLACKARACHNIA couldn't have due to transformation. So this looks great. I really do like this. This figure really screams BLACKARACHNIA to me, and the way that it came out just works. Okay, so we've gone through the figure, we've gone about the good things, we've gone about your bad things, but let's talk about her weapon. It's pretty much just that same webbed zip line that she had with the animated figure, just decked out in gold rather than black, and this is still that red translucent plastic that a lot of reviewers have said is pretty tight. On mine it's actually loose. That's unfortunate, so I won't be hanging her on my wall anytime soon, but that's just my problem. Once again, just like the original, just press this black button right here on the side and it retracts. Pull it out, retract, pull it out, retract. Nothing different. You can obviously attach it to her arm on this side or this side via pegging the hole. I'm not going to do that because I like weapon storage. You can also peg it on the back of her butt or, you know, underneath here, but it kind of stands out if you're looking at the front of the figure, so I wouldn't do that. At least me. I really do like this figure. I can't say any more about her, so let's go ahead and finish up this review with some size comparisons that you might find very intriguing. I'm going to start off with Generation Springer. Why Generation Springer? Because he's one of the best Transformer figures I've had in years. He got me back into the Transformers line. So, there we go. Let's bring in some of her other Transformer gals. So, here's Chromia. And here's Takara Legends Windblade. Just so you can see, I'll have to move Chromia. I have two Takara Legend figures. One that's got some issues, but I've gone ahead and fixed those problems, so she stands just fine. And then here's the new one. There you go. And let's bring in some of the great Beast War figures from this generation's line, such as Waspinator. So there's Waspinator. She is pretty tall, by the way. Of course, the animated figure was a tall figure. So, you know, for a deluxe compared to a Voyager, this is actually pretty dang good. So there's Rhinox. Of course, I didn't mention that, but yeah, Rhinox. And the last figure, at least for the Beast Wars, is Rat Trap. Because that's the only Beast War figures we've actually got that are decent figures of this generation's and Takara Legends line. And I really do like what we've got so far, but I want to see more. And I want to see some RID love, for crying out loud. One last figure to show off as comparisons, and that's going to be Universe BLACKARACHNIA. Obviously, one of my better BLACKARACHNIA figures of my Transformers collection, but I think this one has just blown this one out of the water. That being said, time to take her off. And that's going to do it for this review. You know, it's your preference. Whatever you decide to do is up to you, but I went for it and I have no regrets. I like this figure too much to want to say anything bad about her. The cons can be overlooked. They really can. With some of the things that I've done in this review, I have proven that you can just look over them. There's no problems. This figure is great. This mold was great. I mean, it's animated BLACKARACHNIA, one of the best figures we got out of the Transformers animated line. There's nothing wrong with her whatsoever. Anything that you find, that's your problem. Me, I like this figure too much. But that's going to do it, guys. This is Sonic Ranger signing out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you whenever you see me.